Black janitor man finds gold watch in trash, realizes it belonged to his missing dad. The words slipped out in a stunned whisper from Marcus's lips as he stared down at the battered gold watch in his hand. No way. This was Dad's. The janitor's fingers trembled slightly, nearly dropping the old timepiece he'd just pulled from a heap of discarded trash behind the massive office building. There it lay, nestled in the garbage like a forgotten treasure, a watch with an engraving he hadn't seen since he was a child. Marcus Williams, 29, had spent years scrubbing floors and emptying bins in downtown Detroit, but nothing in his tough, quiet life had prepared him for this moment. Raised by his grandmother after his father disappeared when Marcus was just 6, the mystery of his dad's fate had haunted him every day. The social workers gave vague answers, and official records went missing. But now, here was the proof. A piece of his past he thought lost forever, found where no one would expect. As Marcus looked up, the city buzzed around him. Businessmen in suits rushed by, oblivious to the janitor clutching a key to his family's buried secrets. No one saw the flicker of hope in his eyes. He slipped the watch into his pocket, heart pounding. He was going to find out the truth. And when he did, the people who had kept his father's story hidden were going to answer for it. But for now, Marcus just stood there, caught between the past and the future, and everything about to change. Marcus Williams grew up in a small, worn-down Detroit neighborhood where the streetlights flickered and hope often felt like a luxury. From the moment his father vanished without a word, Marcus's world shifted forever. Raised by his grandmother, a strong but weary woman, he learned early how to keep his pain buried deep. School was a struggle, not because he lacked brains, but because the weight of unanswered questions clouded his mind. His mother, the only parent he'd ever known, was gone too, swallowed by addiction and loss. Social workers shuffled Marcus from one foster home to another, each promising a fresh start but delivering only more loneliness. Despite the hardships, Marcus kept a quiet pride. He picked up odd jobs, anything to help his grandmother and keep a roof over their heads. But the shadow of his missing father was always there, an ache he couldn't shake. The gold watch was the last link to the man Marcus barely remembered, the only clue that maybe, just maybe, there was more to his story than abandonment. It wasn't just a piece of jewelry. It was a symbol of a father lost, a family broken, and a past waiting to be uncovered. And Marcus was ready to uncover it, no matter the cost. Marcus couldn't believe his eyes when he spotted the gold watch, gleaming in the dumpster behind the office building where he worked nights as a janitor. It was unlike anything he'd ever seen. Heavy, ornate, with an engraving on the back that read, "To Dad, with love, 1978. His heart pounded. That engraving. It triggered memories long buried, flashes of a man's warm smile and strong hands, fleeting moments from his childhood. Clutching the watch tightly, Marcus felt a surge of hope mixed with confusion. How did this priceless keepsake end up in the trash? Was it a cruel joke or a sign? He carefully wiped the grime off the glass face, revealing scratches and tiny cracks, like it had been through years of hardship, much like himself. The next day, Marcus began piecing together fragments of his past. He dug through old photo albums stored in his grandmother's attic, comparing faces, dates, and places. Every faded photograph was a clue. Every name whispered secrets. He found a faded newspaper clipping about a local businessman named Robert Jenkins, his father's name, who had mysteriously disappeared nearly 2 decades ago. A call to an old family friend led Marcus to a dusty box of letters and documents, hinting at a tangled web of betrayal and loss. Someone had tried to erase his father's existence, burying the truth under layers of lies and silence. Each new discovery pulled Marcus deeper into a world he never knew existed, a world where love, deceit, and abandonment collided. The closer he got to the truth, the more he realized that finding his father wouldn't just change his past. It could change his entire future. The day Marcus finally confronted the truth arrived like a storm. At the community center where his father's old business once thrived, Marcus stood before a crowd of familiar faces, neighbors, former employees, and those who had whispered rumors for years. His hands gripped the gold watch tightly as he took a deep breath. "I've spent my whole life wondering what happened to my father," Marcus began, his voice steady but charged with emotion. Today, I'm here to tell you that Robert Jenkins didn't just disappear, he was betrayed by people he trusted. Whispers spread through the room as Marcus revealed the letters, the newspaper clippings, and the evidence he had gathered. He named names, people who had a lot to lose if the key. Truth came out, eyes widened, some faces flushed with guilt, others with shock. Suddenly, a man in the back stood up, Gregory Miles, a former business partner. His smug smile faltered as Marcus's words cut through the silence like a knife. "You thought you could erase him," Marcus said, "but his memory and justice won't be buried." The crowd shifted uneasily. Some nodded in support, others avoided eye contact. Cameras flashed, capturing the moment when years of silence broke. Marcus wasn't just a janitor anymore. He was a son reclaiming his family's name, demanding answers and accountability in the light of day. The confrontation wasn't just about unveiling the past. It was about forcing those responsible to face the consequences, and about Marcus finally stepping into his own power. After the public reveal, the walls of deception began to crumble. Gregory Miles, once untouchable, found himself surrounded by mounting evidence and growing public outrage. The community, fueled by Marcus's courage, demanded justice for the betrayal that had robbed a father and fractured a family. An official investigation was launched, and soon Gregory's lies unraveled in court. Witnesses came forward, documents once hidden were uncovered, and the truth no longer stayed buried. The gold watch Marcus had found became a symbol of the truth, proof that Robert Jenkins had been wronged, his legacy stolen by greed and betrayal. Gregory's confident facade shattered as he faced charges for fraud and conspiracy. The judge's verdict was clear: justice would be served. Sentenced to years behind bars, Gregory's fall was complete, no longer the powerful man who could silence those around him, but a cautionary example of what happens when greed destroys lives. For Marcus, the villain's fall wasn't just about punishment. It was about reclaiming dignity and healing wounds that had festered for years. With justice served, he could finally begin to rebuild what was lost, carrying his father's memory with pride rather than pain. With Gregory's downfall, a new chapter began for Marcus Jenkins. No longer haunted by the shadows of his father's disappearance, Marcus embraced a future shaped by truth and hope. The gold watch, once discarded and forgotten, became a cherished family heirloom, a symbol of resilience and the power of uncovering the truth. Marcus dedicated himself to helping others who had been silenced or wronged, using his story as a beacon of courage and perseverance. He founded a community center in his father's name, a place where lost voices could find support and where families torn apart by secrets could begin to heal. Through his journey, Marcus transformed from a janitor carrying the weight of a painful past into a leader inspiring change. His father's memory lived on, not as a lost soul, but as the foundation for a legacy of justice, love, and unwavering hope. And in that transformation, Marcus found not just closure, but purpose. Marcus's journey wasn't just about finding his father or exposing a hidden truth. It was about reclaiming his own identity and the power of forgiveness. In the end, he realized that while the past held pain and betrayal, it also carried lessons about resilience, trust, and hope. Sometimes the hardest battles are the ones within ourselves, learning to let go of anger, to see people's flaws without losing compassion, and to move forward despite the scars. Marcus's story reminds us all that healing begins when we face the truth, embrace our roots, and choose to build a legacy that's stronger than the shadows that tried to break us.